Greetings and welcome to From the Basement. In this final segment, we're going to finish up the Dragon Project. So we're going to get in demons, hatchlings, fireballing things that we should and should not be fireballing, in addition to getting sound and a little bit more of image polish into the scene. So with that, let's get going. Well, let's go ahead and get the demons created first. So of course we've got to grab our sprites. So I'm going to create sprite, load sprite, and I'm going to grab the demon, remove background, or make sure remove background is checked. So you got a nice little animation there. I'm going to call this SPR demon. And while I'm in the sprites, I'm going to go ahead and load in the baby sprite as well. SPR baby. Okay, so let's get that demon object created. I'll right click, create object. I'm going to call this a demon, and I'm going to set the sprite to the demon sprite. Now, what are this guy's actions? As soon as it's created, it needs to head towards the player, but we don't just want the demons to travel straight across the screen. We want there to be a chance that it'll either angle up or angle down. And due to that it's angling, we want the demon to reach all the way across. So we need to make sure that it bounces whenever or reverses its vertical direction whenever it hits the top or bottom edge of the screen. So the first part is pretty easy, the create event. So we'll add event, create, move fixed, dun dun dun. That will give us a 1 in 3 chance of choosing one of these 3 directions. And our speed will be 12, as per the book. Now, the not leaving the edge of the room is a little bit tricky. If we go into add event other, you notice that there's no hit the top or hit the bottom event. It's just intersect boundary. There's a way to fix this. We'll take a look at that in a supplemental video. For now, we're just going to do it the book way. So we're going to say whenever we intersect with the boundary, we don't want to say bounce. There is a bounce command. Remember that from Catch the Something. We don't want to use that because when we get to the other side, we don't want to bounce off the edge of the screen. We don't want to do that. So we want to just simply reverse vertical direction, apply to self. Now this is going to cause a weird little jiggle when it reaches the left-hand side of the screen. Nothing we're going to fix. Book has the same issue. Alright, so a couple other things here. What's going to happen when the demon runs into things? Now here's where I disagree with the book purely on a philosophical point. I think the interaction with the fireball should be in the fireball object. Because the way I think of things, the way I like to keep things organized, is I think of what object is doing what to what object. And there's a lot of what's in there. In other words, when a fireball and a demon meet, is the demon eating the fireball, or is the fireball destroying the demon? The fireball is destroying the demon. Therefore, that's where I would place the logic. The fireball is acting on the demon, therefore that's where I'm going to put the logic. That keeps things a lot cleaner. That way I can go to the fireball object and immediately see everything that it interacts with, that it acts on. But book has it differently, and honestly it does not change how it functions. It's purely a stylistic and an organizational thing. So we'll leave it the book's way. So what we're going to do is if we look under add events, we have a collision event. This is how we handle 2 objects colliding together. Remember back to the Catch the Something. So we're going to say if we collide with a fireball, there's a couple of things that need to happen on this. First and foremost, we need to destroy the demon. So we're actually going to leave that one last. Theoretically, according to the documentation, if you call a destroy object event in an action sequence like this, the action sequence is supposed to be allowed to finish. I have observed that that's not always the case, or at least in older versions. I haven't tested this recently in the newer versions of GameMaker. Honestly, I'm not that interested in trying to test it. My rule of thumb to keep things sane is that if you are going to destroy an object or change an object, that should be the very last action that you take in the action sequence. So we've got a couple of other things that we need to do before we destroy the demon. First is to give the player a score. Now this is going to give us some problems in that back when the book was originally made, in GameMaker 6 and 7 and 8, when you set the score, if you are in windowed mode, the score would appear in the title bar of the window. That doesn't happen anymore. So we're going to set the score, but unless we change something, we're never going to see what that score is. We will change it. We'll go back and modify something. I just want to warn you in case you decide to pause and test to see if this is working correctly, you're not going to see it right away. So we are going to go into score, and we are going to drag over the set score. Make sure you are grabbing set score and not test or draw. We want set score. And we're going to set that to 100. Now here is a flaw in the book. I don't know why they left this in, because I can't come up with any excuses this time as far as it being too complex. And that is, in the book, they stop here. The next action is to destroy the demon. What this causes is piercing fireballs. You shoot a fireball, it's going to pierce all the way across the screen. Which means, if you think you have a clean shot at a demon, you take the shot, and a split second later, a hatchling appears behind the demon. Sorry, you just toasted a hatchling and lost a bunch of points. I feel it's really bad design because that really just randomly punishes the player too much. So we are going to do a slight modification here. And after we set the score, we're going to go to main 1. We're going to say destroy instance, but this time we're going to destroy other. Other pretty much only works during collision events because that's the only time you have an other for the most part. And so basically what we're saying here is I don't want to destroy the object I am in, which is self, which would be the demon, but rather I want the other, which is the fireball. So destroy instance other. Do not do destroy object fireball. That is not what you want. Saying destroy object fireball will destroy every single instance of a fireball that's on the screen. So if you have 3 other shots on the screen when this fireball hits the demon, all 3 of those shots are going to disappear in addition to the one that hit the demon. So we do not want destroy object. We'll use that in a different project. We want destroy other. And then, finally, we'll drag in another destroy self. Now our demon's almost set up. I had forgotten to put in one thing that the book has, and that is, what are we going to do with the demons once they leave the room? Again, remember our mantra. Computers are stupid. If we don't tell the demon to destroy itself when it leaves the room, it won't. So we're going to add an event, other, outside room, just like we've done before, and on main 1, destroy self. We have our demon set up. Now we actually need to get our demon spawning. Now we're going to do this the bad way, which is purely random, and we're not going to try and fix it, because attempting to fix this is way more complexity than what we need in the first project. I'm already kind of pushing the complexity point here. So I just want to point out that purely random generation of enemies is not a good idea. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the boss, and we're going to add in a step event. I'll get into the differences between the steps later. For now, just accept that we need a step event. And in this event, we're going to generate a chance of the boss spawning a demon. So we're going to go into control, and we're going to roll the dice, so to speak. It'll be test chance. It looks like the dice icon. And we are going to say, let me double check the number. That didn't have the book handy. So make sure I'm getting the right odds here. 1 in 50 chance. That's what I thought it was. Just want to double check on that. Sure that's on the right page. So we want a 1 in 50 chance. What this action does is basically it's going to generate a random number between 1 and 50. And if it's a 1, or if it's a 50, you can honestly think of it either way, then we're going to do the next action. Now, statistically speaking, it's very important, statistically speaking, since we are doing 30 steps per second, we have a 1 in 50 chance of an enemy spawning. That means a little bit under every 2 seconds we should get an enemy, statistically speaking. When we actually put this into play, you're going to see that's not what happens. So main 1, create instance, and we are going to create a demon, and we're just going to create it 0, 0 relative. Make sure you check relative or your demons will always occur in the top left-hand corner, and that's not good. Well, we're at a point we can test, so I'm going to hit the play button. And it might take a little bit for the demons to start coming. There's a demon, and as you can see, it's not killing the player yet. And as you can also see, we are not getting 1 demon every 2 seconds. Sometimes we can go like right now. We just went a long time. Oh, 2 in a row. That was, oh, and there's another one, and another one, and another one. Yeah, as you can see, oh, whoa, like demon swarm there. We're not getting 1 per sec. We're not getting 1 every 2 seconds. This is the problem with random number generation. Saying that if we have a 1 in 50 chance, 30 steps per second, means we'll get 1 every 2 seconds. That will be true over a statistically significant number of samples. Meaning, if we take the number of demons spawned over the course of 100,000 seconds, we will see pretty close to those odds. But on the short term, it varies wildly. Like I said, we're not going to fix this. Way too complicated for this project. One last thing I want to check. Can I toast them? Yes, I can toast them, and my fireball does stop. Now, as you can see, my score is not being displayed, so I have no idea if my score is working correctly. But at least toasting the demons is working fine. So now let's deal with the demons hitting the dragon. I'll bring the demon back up. Add event, collision with a dragon. Now we mandatorily have to change some things here. 1 hit, 1 kill is how the book has it. Now if you pay attention to your assignment, that's not what you have to turn in. You need to turn in the player can take multiple hits. I am not showing you that in this video. And like I explained in the assignment, the reason why is that, well, this is game creation. Very, very seldom when you are creating a game do you know perfectly how to do all the steps that you need to do. You've got to do research. You have got to try to figure out how to get it done. Now, in this particular case, it's pretty simple. You've seen everything that you need to do. Requires no actions that I haven't already shown, and I do give some hints in the assignment description, so should be fairly easy to do. And if not, it's 1 point out of the project. So if you can get everything done but that, you can still get an A on the project, just not 100%. Keep in mind that, you're not necessarily guaranteed to get 100 on every assignment unless you are willing to put in some effort. So, with that, dying. The book has it to show the high score table when you get killed. The problem with that is that that feature was removed with the start of GameMaker Studio. The only thing we have left related towards the high score is clearing the high score, which doesn't do us any good. Now, there's a bonus assignment that if you can figure out how to write a room that will display a high score table and integrate that into your assignments, you can get a full bonus assignment points, or points for a full assignment as a bonus, extra credit. So there's that option there. For now, what we're going to do is we're just simply going to reset the game. It's going to be a little bit jarring, but honestly, we don't have much of a choice here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to main 2, and one of our options here is restart game. And actually first, skipped a step there, first we're going to display a message, which is cancel. This little icon right here. And we're going to display the message, you died, or whatever message you want to put in there. That way, at least there's a moment of pause before the game resets itself. And then we will drag in the restart game action. Now, the restart game action is a bit special. That's effectively the same as closing the game and opening it back up again. This is a pretty intense action. It basically resets everything. And this is normally not how you would want to restart your level after dying, but this is probably the easiest and simplest way of doing it. So we'll stick with that. So if we collide with the dragon, we'll display a message, you died, and restart the game. Final modification we're going to make as far as points and in-game type stuff goes. So we're going to open up the dragon, and again, just sort of take my word on this, we're going to add event, draw, and draw GUI. In a later project, I'll talk about the difference between draw and draw GUI. For now, just accept that we need the draw GUI command. Make sure you do the draw GUI. That's important. And on the draw GUI, we're going to go over to score, and we're going to draw the score. And we're going to move it over a little bit. So 180, 10, and caption score. It's going to kind of draw it right in the middle of the top of the screen, but there's really no other good place to put that. So we're going to draw the score so that way we can see what we actually have. Now we should be able to test this. I'm going to hit the play button. And there we go. I died. I have 0 score. Score 100, score 100. Oops. And I unintentionally have a bug here, but it's a good unintentional bug because it's a very easy thing to do. I missed checking relative on my score. So if we go back and look at the demon and our collision with the fireball, and I set the score to 100, notice I do not have relative checked. Well, what that means is I'm setting my score to 100. Meaning I will never have a score other than 100. I need to mark that relative, so basically that's saying, okay, I'm going to take my score and I'm going to add 100 points to it. Now if I test it, $100, $200, $300, $400, $500. Yeah, there's no penalty right now to me just holding down the button and spamming fireballs at the demon because there's no hatchlings. So let's fix that. What we're going to do is we're going to just create a new object here. We already got our hatchlings, our babies put in, so we're going to create an object. Now this is going to be fairly similar to the demons. So we're going to call this baby. Set the sprite to the baby sprite, add event, create. Now, instead of moving in 3 ways, we're just going to move 1 way and speed of 12. We are also going to need our outside, so other, outside room, destroy self, excuse me, destroy self. And then we need to have some interactions with running into the player. So we'll add in a collision with the dragon. And in the case of colliding with the dragon, we want to give the player 500 points. We really want to encourage, it's good parenting to, capture hatchlings as they're fleeing in terror from demons. So we'll set the score 500 relative. Now, we also want to destroy the hatchling when this happens. Because if we don't, every single frame that the hatchling stays colliding with the dragon object, which could be a great many frames, the player will get 500 points. While that might be really awesome to see your score just like shoot, rocket upwards, it's not really the intent. So we need to make sure that we destroy the hatchlings. We'll drag over, destroy instance self. Do make sure that this is I can talk, I promise. Do make sure that it is self, not other. You know what? I've got a lot of windows open right now. I'm going to take a moment to close out some of these windows here. I don't need everything open. Okay. So colliding with the dragon, good. Colliding with the fireball, bad. It's really bad form to barbecue your hatchlings. And so if a baby collides with the fireball, we want to penalize the player by taking away 300 points. And all of a sudden, did I remember to check relative on that? Yes, I did. Good. Make sure your score is set to relative. So if we collide with the fireball, we need to set the score again. But this time, we're going to set the score to negative 300 relative. Now we're saying, okay, well, subtract 300 points from my score. And again, we want to destroy the hatchling and the fireball. So we'll destroy the fireball first. And again, the book does not destroy the fireball. So we're going to destroy the fireball first with a destroy instance other. Then we will destroy the hatchling with a destroy instance self. Again, theoretically it shouldn't matter because I'm a programmer and I'm paranoid. I like putting the destroy object as the very last thing. Now, we've got a couple more things that we need to add in, and this thing will be done. One is the background. Gray's kind of boring. Now, since we don't need the background to interact with anything, we're going to load it into the backgrounds resource category. So I'm going to right-click, create background, load background, and you will notice that it no longer remembers where your assets are. It only remembers it for each asset type folder. So I'm going to have to go back to my folder, GameMaker Resources, funny little code, Resources, Chapter 2, and background. Now this time, obviously, I do not want to check remove background. That would not be a good thing. I want to make sure that it's unchecked. Click on Open, and I'm going to call this BG for background cave. Okay. Then I'm going to go into my room settings, backgrounds. I am going to uncheck draw background color, and where it says no background, I'm going to click on that and select background cave, and as you can see, it immediately updates. Now, when I hit the play button, I get a background. And I just remembered we got to go back and do one last step with the hatchlings. And that is, well, I guess first close them out. The second is to go into our boss, and the same way that we spawn demons, we're going to spawn hatchlings. So I'm going to go into control, random, and double check the odds on this guy. One in 100 chance. So roughly speaking, a little bit longer than 1 every 3 seconds. So with a 1 out of 100 chance, we will create a baby. Again, at 0, 0, relative. Now, just a couple more things left here. One is our background music. Music and sound is really important. It's got a direct link to our emotional state. So a game that's perfectly silent won't feel as compelling and as engaging as a game that has sound. Also, bad music will grate on people's nerves far, far faster than bad art will. So keep that in mind. If you want to try to compose your own music, be careful. Be sure that you actually know what you're doing. All right, so sounds. Create sound. Open. And once again, got to navigate to the resource directory. GameMaker resources. Ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. And select music. Open it up. And I'm going to call this BGM for background music. Main theme, of course, that's the only theme that we have. Now, there's a lot of options here. The key thing is to test it to make sure that it plays correctly. I'm going to hit the play button here, and there we go. Just stop that from playing. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave everything as default. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I've got my background sound loaded in. I also have a couple of other sound effects. So I'm going to right click, create sound, open. We've got Demon, which that is the sound that the demons make when they collide with the fireball. And the baby wave is the sound that the babies make when they collide with the fireball. So again, to test this, there's a nice gurgly sound. Now this one I'm going to call FX, indicating it's a sound effect. And demon hit. Okay, I'm just going to accept all my defaults and create sound FX. Baby hit. That sounds horrible to say that. Open that up. Open up the baby sound effect file. Make sure that's working. Okay. Now we've got to go and plug these in. For the background music, this time around, we'll just grab the dragon object, since we already have a create event on it, and it's in the room from the very start. And go ahead and under main 1, sounds, play sound, background theme, and we want to set loop to true, because we do want this sound to loop. Close that out, close that out. Now see, this is where if we had put all of our interactions of the fireball doing things to other objects all in the fireball, we'd have one object to go to. We don't. So we're going to go into the baby, collision with a fireball, and before our destroy instances, I'm going to go to main 1, sound, baby hit, loop, false. We don't want that one to play repeatedly. That'd be very annoying. And then we're going to close that out, go into the demon, collision with a fireball, main 1, sound before the destroy instances, sound, demon hit, okay. And now we should be able to test the final product. Hit the play button. And one thing you do have to be careful about with sound is it will drastically increase the size of your project file if you're not careful with the type of sound you're putting in there. Come on, give me a hatchling. And one, oh, there we go. Oh, lots of hatchlings. And now I need to actually fireball one of them. The score is still there. It's kind of hard to see. It's right there. And I got the appropriate little squeak when I fireballed the hatchling. Now that score value is really hard to see, so I'm going to show one more advanced feature. I'm going to drag in here the draw GUI, go into the draw commands, the actual draw commands. One of our draw commands is set color, and I always have to, I believe it's this guy right here. Yep, set color. So I'm going to drag that in before the draw value. And if you click on there, it'll bring up a little pop-up box, and I'm going to set it to white. So now when I run this, since it's really dark where we have our score, now I can see my score really easy. And by the way, you can go into the negatives. I can survive long enough to fireball a hatchling. Now, of course, I caught one of them. There we go. Yes, there we go. So you can go into the negative score. It will allow you to do that. And with that, the dragon project is finished. Now there will be a supplemental video to deal with a couple of other just really minor sort of things that don't really alter how the gameplay works, but rather just some more advanced techniques for making your life a little bit easier when changing values. So that concludes the Dragon Project. I'll see you next time when we take on delivering mail to moons. It's much less fun than it sounds, unfortunately. Until then.